Ferrari has built many fast cars. Some of them, like the 250 GTO, ended up on posters and auction blocks, fetching mansion-sized sums of money. Others, like the ungainly 312P, were fast but about as stable as a chair with 3 legs. The Ferrari 312T, this thing was different. It was the car that dragged Maranello out of its mid-70s wobble and planted the prancing horse firmly back on the nose of Formula 1. It wasn't just successful, it was by every measurable standard dominant, taking 4 Constructors Championships and 3 Drivers' Championships in just 5 seasons. It was also the car that nearly killed Niki Lauda, then 6 weeks later carried him back onto the grid in one of the most astonishing comebacks the sport has ever seen. Now the 312T story begins not with triumph but with failure. You see, in 1974, Ferrari had to watch McLaren pinch the constructors' title and Emerson Fittipaldi nicked the driver's crown from under Clay Regazzoni's nose. For Enzo Ferrari, never a man fond of losing, this was a disaster. His team had talent, his cars had speed, but the old 312B was a nightmare to set up. Handling was its Achilles heel, and in Formula 1 that meant defeat was inevitable. So something radical had to be done. Enter Mauro Forghieri, Ferrari's engineering mastermind. He'd been shuffled about within the company before, but in the off-season a young Luca Di Montezemolo, freshly installed as team manager, brought him back to the sharp end of the Scuderia. Forghieri knew that to cure the 312B's instability, Ferrari had to rethink not just the aerodynamics but the very heart of the machine. The result was the 312T. The T stood for transversale, because its 5-speed gearbox was mounted sideways across the car rather than along its length. The simple shift transformed the Ferrari. With the gearbox tucked transversely between the rear wheels, weight distribution became near perfect. Gone was the pendulum effect of the old layout, replaced by stability and balance that drivers could trust. The chassis was a mix of aluminium monocoque with a tubular steel frame for reinforcement. The suspension was redesigned to take advantage of the narrow front, allowing a more aerodynamic nose. And behind the driver sat one of the most glorious engines ever built for Formula 1, Ferrari's 3-litre flat 12. With 510 horsepower, an exhaust note that sounded like an orchestra being shot out of a cannon, and bulletproof reliability, it became one of the defining motors of its era. Now the car was finished in late 1974 and tested over the winter, but Ferrari played it cautious. The 312T didn't debut until the third race of 1975 in South Africa. Almost immediately, it was clear this thing was a different beast. Lauda took his first win in Monaco, then went on a rampage, winning 5 of the remaining 9 races. By the end of the season, Ferrari had both the Constructors Championship and Lauda his first driver's crown. It was the team's first double title since 1964, and it came in devastating fashion. But for 1976, new regulations outlawed the towering airboxes sprouting behind the drivers. Ferrari responded with the 312T2, which fed air through neat NACA ducts along the bodywork. The changes were minimal, the speed was not. Lauda opened the year with 3 straight wins, looking set to cruise to back-to-back titles. Then came Nürburgring. The old Nordschleife was long, brutal and utterly unforgiving. On lap 2, Lauda's Ferrari snapped, hit the barrier and erupted in flames. He was trapped inside the burning wreck before being dragged out by fellow drivers. His lungs seared by toxic smoke. For any normal human, that would have been the end of a career. But 6 weeks later, bandaged and barely healed, Lauda was back in the cockpit at Monza, finishing 4th. The title went down to the wire in Japan. Monsoon conditions made the Fuji Speedway treacherous, and after 2 laps, Lauda pulled into the pits, refusing to risk his life again in such weather. James Hunt, his McLaren rival, scrapped the points he needed and took the crown by a single point. Ferrari, however, still took the Constructors title. The following season saw the 312T2 upgraded to B-spec. Externally, not much changed beyond new Fiat logos, but under the skin Ferrari kept refining. Lauda wasn't thrilled at first, grumbling about the handling and the Goodyear tyres, but he found his rhythm. The Austrian won only 3 races, but his consistency combined with the Ferrari's reliability carried him to a second Drivers' Championship. Ferrari also secured its 3rd straight Constructors title, and then, in true Lauda fashion, he quit the team before the season even ended, fed up with the politics inside Maranello. Without Lauda, Ferrari fielded Carlos Reutemann and Gilles Villeneuve in the 312T3. The car had a new chassis, slightly more power and tidier aerodynamics, but none of it mattered. Lotus arrived with the 79, a ground effect revolution that glued itself to the track like a slot car. Ferrari's wide flat 12 engine made creating proper Venturi tunnels nearly impossible, so the 312T3 was left gasping in the wake of Chapman's genius. Ferrari still picked up the odd win, but the age of ground effect had begun. Never a team to give up, Ferrari hit back with the 312T4. It was their attempt at ground effect, and while not as efficient as the Lotus, it was good enough. Villeneuve and new teammate Jody Scheckter shared victories throughout the season, and by the end, Ferrari had done it again, Constructors Champions for the 4th time in 5 years. Scheckter also took the driver's crown, which was the last Ferrari would win until Michael Schumacher arrived 2 decades later. But why? Well, you see, by the year 1980, the writing was on the wall. The flat 12 was too wide and its packaging too compromised for the latest aerodynamic tricks. Ferrari produced the 312T5, but it was hopeless. No wins, no pace, and a humiliating 10th in the constructors' standings. The most successful Ferrari F1 car ever built had run its course. For 1981, the team switched to the turbocharged 126C, signaling the dawn of a new era. But between 1975 and 1979, the Ferrari 312T won 27 Grand Prix, 4 Constructors Championships, and 3 Drivers' titles. It carried Lauda to greatness, gave Villeneuve his first wins, and delivered Scheckter Ferrari's last driver's crown of the 20th century. It was fast, it was reliable, and it was tough enough to bring a badly injured driver back from the brink. Today, it's easy to overlook the 312T when discussing Ferrari's icons. The 250 GTO hogs the limelight. The 641 of the 1990s gets romanticized for its beauty, and Schumacher's cars dominate the statistics. But in raw numbers, the 312T was the most successful Ferrari F1 design of them all. And unlike many machines of the era, it wasn't just about clever aero or raw horsepower. It was about balance. It was, in short, a Ferrari that did the impossible. It went fast, it handled beautifully, and it won consistently. And if you're wondering why, despite all of this, the 312T sometimes feels like a footnote in Ferrari's history, the simple answer is, it wasn't pretty. It didn't have the elegance of a 156 shark nose, or the futuristic drama of the 641. What it had instead was grit, engineering genius, and the sound of a flat 12 howling at 12,000 RPM. And this is a reminder that sometimes the most important cars are the ones that get the job done, even if they don't look like art. But yeah, at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys thought of the video, what do you guys think of the car and its story, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now if you guys did like this video, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff, so just go through my channel, see if there's someone to like, I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?